Katzcradul here. I want to make a video showing you a vacuum sealer because I think there's lots of confusion about it, and I think some people have made some videos, and the way they've made them, because they understand the process, I think they're making some assumptions that people perhaps know more than they do about the vacuum sealer. And so I want to do this very basic video and try to go start to finish and tell you everything that I think you probably need to know. First, I'm going to show you the kinds of things I vacuum seal, and this is just a sampling. Here I have some lentils because I opened a big bag and I used some, but this is what's left, so I just vacuum sealed the rest. Some cauliflower that I showed in a dehydrating video. Some bell pepper from my garden. Here's a little bit of coconut that was left over from a project. I sealed that. One of the best things to seal, in my opinion, is chocolate. Chocolate does not last very long unless you put it in the freezer. And here I have vacuum sealed morsels. I also buy M&Ms in bulk and vacuum seal them. You can see they just suck right down. These are in bags. Here's a bag of Sixlets. That's a candy my daughter likes, and I vacuum sealed that. Here's 3 boxes of some kind of gourmet chocolate that I vacuum sealed. This goes into our psychological bucket for whenever we're stressed and feel like we need a little chocolate. Here's some chocolate bars that I just, these are almond chocolate bars, gourmet chocolate bars that I just took out of the package and vacuum sealed them. Here is, this is my daughter's all-time favorite, but I don't like to have too many available at one time, so I just do a sleeve of Oreos and just vacuum seal. And if we want a snack for family game night or something, I think that gives Prepper A and Paladin Prepper 5 each and 4 for me. So that's just a sleeve of Oreos. I do vacuum seal a lot of nuts. A lot of walnuts, almonds, pecans. And if you want to see how to vacuum seal something that's in a bag, go back and watch my brown sugar video, and I will tell you that you just puncture the bag, then slip it in the food saver bag, and then vacuum seal it right down. And that way you let the air come out of the package itself. Okay, so that's chocolate and nuts. I do vacuum seal sesame seeds. Here I buy gelatin in bulk. This is strawberry gelatin. That's something you definitely want to keep dry. Orange peel, you've seen that in another video. Here is a whole plant, a whole stalk in the right word, a whole bunch of celery. Here's some soup mix, some dry soup mix. Seeds I was telling you about, I store a lot of sunflower seeds. I buy them in big bags and then divide them up like this. So, oh, here's a couple more things. Here is some spinach I dehydrated. I'd like to keep that nice and dry. And I love sealing in jars. I do seal a lot in bags too. I didn't bring you a lot of that. I showed you on one of my cheese videos how I vacuum seal Parmesan cheese. Here's another thing. I seal a lot in jars because I don't have room in my freezer. I vacuum seal my homemade jerky, and I have a lot of jars filled with that. So I'm going to move some of that so you can actually see the machine itself. My machine I ordered on eBay, and I think I paid $22 for it. I was very fortunate. It came from a charity thrift store. They just couldn't move it, and that was one of the things they did was sell the items that they weren't moving on eBay. So that's how I got mine. This is what it looks like. It's a real simple one. It has this knob that says cut only. That's for cutting and making bags. I'll show you how to do that. vacuum and seal, and then vacuum and extend seal. I've never used the vacuum and extend seal. I don't have any idea what it would be for. There's a button to cancel the operation if you need it for it just to stop. And then there's an extend, like I said, an extend vacuum, which I don't use. There's a port here for a tube. I'll show you what that's for. This is a cutter to cut your bags. So let me see if I can show you just a little bit about the bags. The bags come in two sizes. If you don't need to zoom in, I don't think. You can show them the box over here. Here's the box I buy, and it's expensive. I'll put a note down, a caption here to tell you how much I pay for it, because I can't remember, and I think it's about $30 for this big box. It comes with two short rolls. Is that right, Prep-Ray? Two short rolls? Two short rolls of bags, and I'll show you the difference. Here's a short roll, and here is a long roll. So that box comes with two short rolls and three long rolls, okay, depending on what you need. I like the short rolls better. I use more of them. They fit. The only problem I have with Food Saver is they make the cord too short on the Food Saver. So I'm tied to this plug over here because I want to demonstrate it for you. The rolls sit. Can you see this? Do you have it in the viewfinder?
I can't see inside, but I can see the machine.
Okay, there's a channel here where the rolls sit. Okay? And when I want to make a bag, because this is just a long, continuous cylinder, when I want to make a bag, I pull it out, and there's a cutter up here. So I shut it. I'm going to make one that looks about like a quart bag. So I shut it, put it on cut only. I start the cutter over here, and I run it across, and it has cut me off a bag. Okay? So then I shut my machine, and of course I want to make a bag, so I'm going to seal one end. I have found that it has a smooth side and a textured side. I have found that if you put the textured side up, that it seals better. So here's the texture side here. I'm going to close it in the Food Saver. There is a heating element down here. This little strip right here is what heats and seals. This is a vacuum chamber that sucks the air out. But I'm not going to vacuum seal now. I'm just going to make my bag. So I'm just going to lay it on that heat strip. I'm just going to overlap that heat strip by about 1/2 inch. And I'm going to press down. That's how mine works. Some of them you press a button. The fancy ones you press a button. Mine you just press down on the lid.
Don't cut only, Cats.
Oh, don't cut on. Thank you. Okay. So you have to move it to vacuum and seal because you're going to seal that end of the bag. Press. And you'll learn how your vacuum sealer sounds. It makes all these funny little sounds, and you can learn when it's sealing. So I'm hoping you can see that on the camera. There is a strip here where the bag has been sealed. So I have made a bag. Okay? So what I would want, that was a spoon dropping. What I'd want to do, if I wanted to seal my food in here, in fact, I'll just show you here. Here's my celery. I'll just open it up. I'll dump in the bag just for demonstration purposes. There we go. So I've got my celery in the bag. And now again, I'm going to let this overlap the heating element by about 1/2 inch, being sure that the open end is in the vacuum chamber. If you need to pick it up just a little bit to show that, you can. It's in the, I'm making sure the open end is in the little vacuum channel. Pushing down the lid, pressing, and you can see that it's vacuum sealing the bag. Almost done. There you go. Lift the lid. You can see the heat seal here, and look at that. Nice and tight, perfectly vacuum sealed. Okay? And that's how you seal a bag, and The only thing I will tell you is at first I was real chinchy with the bags because they're so expensive. If you cut too short a bag for the product that you're going to seal, it's frustrating because once you get the open end in the vacuum channel, you have to make sure you've got room enough for the lid to come down. And if you're trying to come down on product, it won't seal, and it's real frustrating. So I quit being such a cheapskate and gave myself a little bit more bag. And when you give yourself more bag, it's easier. So there's a whole stalk of celery. Okay. So the other thing you can do besides sealing in bags is that you can seal pretty much any jar you want. These canisters back here came with my vacuum sealer. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of them came. I was very fortunate. I didn't have to buy them. And I think what most people probably use those for are to seal, muffins in here, and then you put the lid on and vacuum seal it, and then they stay fresh. Or you can put your oatmeal in there and vacuum seal it, and it would stay fresh. But I have never used them as a canister. I only use them for sealing jars, and I'm going to show you how to do that. I pick the smallest canister possible for sealing the jar I want to seal. Like I can tell that this jar will fit in this canister. The reason being, if I put this jar in this big canister to seal, it would take a longer time to suck the air out. While the air is being sucked out, the heating element is also heating. And so in order to not overwork my heating element, I keep it on the least amount of time I have to. So I look for economy of space so I can see that this little jar will go in this canister. Here's what I love about the vacuum sealer. Any jar that has a screw top lid with a little rubber gasket on the inside can be vacuum sealed. So I save maraschino cherry jars, sometimes pickle jars if I can get the pickle smell out of them. Jalapeno come in jars. What else? Oh, this jar was a marmalade jar, so lots of jams and jellies come in jars that have the rubber gasket. Here's how it works. You can see that's not sealed. This one's the cherry jar, and it's got bell pepper in it. So I put it in my canister. I put the lid on, and you can find these little canisters used on eBay all the time. Whoops. On my vacuum sealer is a little port for this tubing. Both ends look identical. It doesn't matter which one goes into the canister or which one goes into the vacuum sealer. So I'm going to put this in the port, and I'm going to put this in the port on the top of the canister, right here. And I'm going to press the vacuum sealer to make it start. And what it's doing is it's sucking the oxygen out of my maraschino cherry jar that my bell peppers are in, and it's sucking the air out of this canister. So here we go. Now what you do is you press on this little button. It releases the vacuum inside the plastic canister, and you can hear it. I'll try to be quiet here. And did you hear that little ping? That little ping with the pressure equalizing inside the canister, and it sucked down the lid on my maraschino cherry jar. Now, is that the coolest thing ever? I can seal jars. They don't have to be canning jars. Now listen, I'll show you that it's vacuum sealed. Wow. Isn't that great? Now, of course, I'll put it back in and vacuum seal it to store it. But that's how you can use just regular jars to seal in. Here is, whoops, almost dropped it. Here is a jar of orange peel. And let me get my spoon I dropped. Oh, I can't get it.
Okay, I'll get it.
It's okay. So I'm going to use the back of this knife to open this jar. I'm going to try to. I may use the front side so I don't cut my finger. Yeah, okay, I got it off. And that's the best way to do it, is just put the edge of another utensil up against this and pop it open. So now I've got this that's unsealed. This is a regular canning jar. What I do is I put my ring on it. I pick the smallest container it'll fit in. It will fit in that little one. I put the lid back on, and I'm going to press to start. About finished. Here we go. I'm going to release the vacuum. Oh, I heard the ping, so I know it worked. There you go. It's sealed. How many minutes do I have left?
2 minutes, 45 seconds.
2 minutes. I'll hurry. Okay. The last way to seal that I'm going to show you is, let me pop the lid on the spinach. Okay. So I've popped the lid on this. Now, here are two great things to have. I think this one you can buy on eBay for about $8. I think this one's about $6. This is a way for you to seal without using the canisters. This is a small mouth. Here's a small mouth and a large mouth. So without the ring on, just the rubber lid, I'm going to put this down on it. This is a jar sealer. I'm going to put the end of my tube in there, and I'm going to press. Here we go, and I can hear the vacuum releasing here. I'm going to pull this lid up, and it's vacuum sealed. Okay? If you have a problem getting it to seal, if your lid won't seal well, and I'll tell you, don't use new seals to vacuum seal this way. Use old ones. They work better. I don't know why. So it's a great way to use your old lids that have already been used. This one says tomato 710. If you can't get this to seal, if you will, let me pop this off. Oh, I got it off. I hit it. If you put one down like it's supposed to go and turn one the opposite way, and then put your lid on, in all likelihood you can get that lid to seal. Okay? I don't know why, but it puts a little pressure on that bottom lid and really causes it to seal. Okay? That's an option for you. There you go. Stuck down tight. I have found, you'll see, is the camera picking up that little X on there? Can you see that little X? Okay, that little X is made with a knife. Every time I open a jar of home canned food, I make an X with a knife so that I know that that's a used lid, because you don't want to ever reuse this to can. I hope this helps you figure out the mystery of using the food saver. If you have any questions, PM me. Katzcradul. I thought of just a couple of things that might make this system a little more clear to you that I need to explain. My vacuum sealer will not seal Mylar bags. It will not seal them. Well, I should retract that. It will seal them. It will not vacuum seal them. And I'm going to tell you why. A Mylar bag is smooth, perfectly smooth on both sides. You remember how I told you early on that vacuum seal bags are rough on one side and smooth on one side. And I'm kind of showing you a cross section here as if you were looking into the bag from the end. Here's the smooth side, and here's the rough side. Now what's happening as you're trying to vacuum seal is the little bumps that are lower are being pressed down from the very beginning, and they're being sealed. So the air is being sucked out in the places where the little bumps are raised. Okay, so every place where you see an arrow where that's pressing down, that's already sealed when from the moment you start putting it in. So it leaves these little places, every other little bump, to suck the air out. And at the very end of the process, when most of the air is out, it goes ahead and pushes down those raised bumps and seals them. So when you've got a smooth surface like this, from the very onset, the minute you start your food sealer, it's pressed down the whole thing and there's no way to suck any of the air out. So you must use the Food Saver bags. Now, if you want to see how to store a Mylar bag, I'm still working, and I'll post the link to her. She has a commercial vacuum sealer that has a little tongue that goes in the center. So it's sealing on either side all the way up to that little tongue that's injected into the bag. So that little tongue is sucking the air out. And when she pulls that tongue out, it's a button she presses, then it seals that one little hole. So you can buy a commercial vacuum sealer that will seal Mylar bags, but the Food Saver, my Food Saver at least, will not do it. Just a couple other things I need to mention. Like I told you before, the old used lids are better because this gasket has been softened. If you're trying to vacuum seal on a cold day and your house is cool, what I recommend is setting a heating pad out on high and turning your lids up like this and letting them nice and warm. And then when you're ready to seal, take them off the hot heating pad, turn them onto your drawer and seal. That will have softened the rubber gaskets. A couple more things here. Food that's vacuum sealed will last indefinitely if you keep it at a temperature of 75 degrees or below and away from sunlight. I did a test and vacuum sealed some homemade cookies in a quart jar. I just stacked them up and sealed them up and put them in the cabinet and came back a year later and they tasted like I had just baked them. That doesn't happen often because if my friends in my house find out where they're hidden, they'll get them. If you want to know how to pack beans and rice, go look at Brooklyn Prepper's site. I'll post a link. He is the king of packing rice and beans in a vacuum sealer. Dehydrate to Store is another great site. She'll tell you how to dehydrate everything, and she does some vacuum sealing as well. Again, if you have any questions, PM me or leave a question in the comment section, and I promise to answer them tomorrow on the Friday question and answer session. Hope this helps you out. Take care, everybody. Katzcradul.